Golden Bliss of the world. Yo, what's going on? It's someone that's no one, and welcome back to today's report. Today's report is coming from Billy Joel off Earwood. When this happened, 2013. The drug used was Gabapentin at a dose of 3,000 milligrams. The route of administration, orally. Gender, male. Weight, 120 pounds. Age, 18. Height, 5'11". Prior experience includes hydrocodone, Xanax, alcohol, and Ritalin, and the setting, at class, then at home. So here we are finally with a Gabapentin report. We've had quite the number of requests for this one, and I'm kind of surprised it took this long, given that I have a large amount of experience myself with Gabapentin. But we'll save that for the stories. This report shows Billy's first time diving into the substance at a very strong dose. But if you have no idea what Gabapentin is or what it does, we'll break it down some after the report. This report itself is somewhat eventful, plus the effects experienced also play a strong role. So we'll just let the experience speak for itself. I'm sure you'll enjoy this one, so without further ado, let's dive right into this. This experience of mine was one of the most eye-opening events in my life. It is something I will always remember and attempt to replicate as often as possible. I will give some detailed insight onto why this is in the following report. I'm an 18-year-old, 5'11", 120-pound male. Yes, I am very skinny from extremely high metabolism. I had read everywhere online that Gabapentin, this is the form I took it in, otherwise known as Neurontin, but I shall refer to Neurontin as Gabapentin throughout this report, was either a blissful experience for an individual, while for the other it was dull. I figured I had nothing but a 2-hour class I was required to attend that night, so why not pop a decent amount and see how it goes. Time of oral ingestion, 5:30 p.m. to wait for the Gabapentin to kick in for my 7 p.m. class. I took 10 300 milligram tablets. I was very excited to see how it would affect me. 1 hour after ingestion. I'm expecting a pronounced high or something of that nature at this point, yet I'm starting to believe maybe it's not going to work. I'm heading to my class and waiting for any sense of alteration. 1.5 hours after ingestion. I'm starting to feel strange. No real mental high, maybe just a hype, but an odd, sort of Xanax-like body high. Yet, very weak. A little heavy, loose, and floppy, all at the same time. Still waiting for the esteemed mental high at this point. I am also doubting the effect of the drug. 2.5 hours after ingestion. I feel it. A mild, anything goes type of mind alteration. Sort of happy, strange, but optimistic about all of life. Absolutely no anxiety about anything or anyone. Self-confident, zero social anxiety. Usually I'm not the most talkative person, but all I wanted to do was talk. And I was being the funny guy at the table for the first time in a long while. Everyone was cracking up at the jokes I was making, and not because they knew I was high, because nobody did and nobody suspected it. I am a little off balance, but nothing I can't hide. 3 hours after ingestion. Oddly, I feel a large sex urge, something that's not usually too evident for me when I'm high on any substance. I've never done E though. Nevertheless, I'm really happy. Just like if you took the best point in your life and captured it into a pill and took it. Or if you just won the Super Bowl or something. Compared to hydrocodone, I would actually prefer this. It combined what I loved of hydrocodone, Xanax/alcohol, and Ritalin. You have the euphoria and warmth of hydrocodone, the body high of Xanax/alcohol, and the awake, alert, talkative mindset of Ritalin, not to mention loads of motivation. 4 hours after ingestion. The world could not be any better. I am back home. I'm talking to a bunch of my other friends, texting girls, messing with some electronics, and watching basketball, all at the same time. I went out to shoot some hoops, and despite the drunk feeling, my confidence was at an all-time high, and everything was dropping. I felt unstoppable. It's like if someone suggested I go play Russian roulette. Normally that would be an obvious no, but it felt like it would be alright on Gabapentin. Not that I would even while high, but it's just an analogy. Don't ever play Russian roulette. I guess inhibition was down, but it might have been one of the greatest things about this drug. 8 hours after ingestion. I'm feeling just as good. No come down, and still feeling like I'm at the summit of the high. I have noticed a small ticking of my muscles, but it's an enjoyable feeling in my body. something I look at when I'm sober, as something I relish now. Music sounds wonderful. I have energy, yet I could pass out face first on my bed if I wished. My mind was at ease. I feel so much warmth, and my emotions are amplified by at least 10 times. If I got happy, the smile would not go away. But if I got angry, which I did at one of my friends, because he tried taking a girl I was trying to get for a while, it felt like a grudge came out that I had been holding back for 10 years, as if he killed my dog or something. The emotion of sadness did not exist. However, my anger passed over rather quickly, and I did not care anymore, as I forgot in my blissful state. 10 hours after ingestion. I'm off to sleep. I feel like I can just pass out now and have the deepest sleep of my life. 17 and a half hours after ingestion. It's 10 a.m. of the next morning, and I was right about the deepest sleep of my life. 0 hangover, and the best amount of energy I've had after a night of sleep. Overall summary. I would accept this drug at 2,500 milligrams over 10 milligrams, not tolerance, of hydrocodone any day. It lasts for about a peak of 6 hours. Pros. Really long high. Best of hydrocodone, Xanax/alcohol, and Ritalin combined. 0 come down, increased sex drive, better socialization skills, a lot of euphoria and motivation, energy, but the ability to sleep if needed, anxiety is eliminated, minor color enhancements, not scheduled, cannot tell you are high, and almost impossible to overdose. Cons: need large doses for desired high, can be an expensive medication. I can see physiological dependence issues, slight twitching, which is enjoyable, but I assume it's from the anti-seizure part of the medication, which may not be good for you, and slight slurred speech/stumbling. Alright, so gabapentin. It can be quite the substance, or for some, it can be a whatever substance. I'll say personally that gabapentin is one of the most inconsistent feeling substances I've tried, as I would sometimes experience a very nice drowsy euphoria, while other times it feels like I'm slightly different without much enhancement going on, maybe just a solid relaxation. And I don't know exactly why this is. I've had other people report the same thing to me, especially when you use it more frequently. The dosing is another thing that is somewhat inconsistent with this substance. 3,000 milligrams would generally be considered quite a lot to most people, but even then medicinally, it's going to vary. Generally, especially when starting off, most people won't be prescribed more than 1,000 milligrams, making 3,000 to sound like you're going overboard. But doses are typically adjusted on an as-need basis. Some may be prescribed 3,600 milligrams in a day. And looking at the history of this substance, there have been no deaths due to just ingesting gabapentin alone, only when another substance has been involved, specifically another depressant like alcohol. And this does give some incentive for some to take a lot of the substance. There's reports of people claiming something like 1,800 milligrams to be a good dose, while some may claim 800 milligrams will do the job, or some may go as far as the user in today's report and go high like 3,000 milligrams. There's just been a lot of recreational variability with gabapentin, especially from a subjective standpoint. And the thing with the dosing, the more you take, the lower the bioavailability is. In other words, the more you take, the less you actually absorb, which probably explains the varied experiences. But let's get into what gabapentin is used for. Now, gabapentin is a commonly prescribed substance, but due to the recreational variability and inconsistency, I think this is why it isn't one that's popped up on everyone's radar, like Xanax for example. It will be prescribed commonly to help prevent seizures, as well as neuropathic pain. But it's also shown ability to help with anxiety, which was shown well in today's report, as well as manage motor loss control, or nystagmus, a condition where you have involuntary eye movement. Now the effects of gabapentin are going to include sedation, mind and body relaxation, possible euphoria, there can be dizziness, dreams may be enhanced, potential amnesia. There's even potential for some internal hallucinations like closed-eye visuals, or even things like a slight haze or color changes may be possible. Pretty unique, I would say, compared to most other depressants. Maybe coming close to something like an opiate or a Z drug, but even then, the way they act and feel are going to be way different. And compared to other depressants, gabapentin acts pretty differently on the brain as well. It belongs to a class called gabapentinoids, a relatively small class of depressants that are derived from GABA itself, which, if you know, common depressants like alcohol and your benzos are known to act upon GABA receptors, producing depressant effects. Interestingly enough though, gabapentin doesn't act on GABA receptors directly, but that doesn't mean it won't influence it in some way. Now, to explain how gabapentin works on the brain is pretty complicated. To be simple, it affects various areas and not in the typical way as your agonist or antagonist. It will specifically disrupt the regular functioning of the voltage-dependent calcium channel subunits and their interactions with other proteins, partially playing a role in the effects. But it also modulates enzymes that are responsible for the making of GABA, increasing the overall biosynthesis of it, which helps better explain the depressant effects of the substance and its comparison to that of benzos and alcohol, or even barbiturates. There is more to it than just that though, but that is a basic breakdown of what happens with gabapentin. At the end of the day, I would say it's one of the more novel depressants I've had, and this report shows a good glimpse of what the experience can be like. Only more reports will detail how the experience is. So if you enjoyed today's report on gabapentin, if you want to see more on this substance or any substance at all, let me know in the comments below and we can do that. If you have your own report you want to see, email me, NoOneSubmitReport@gmail.com. If you liked today's video, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, follow the socials, share the video. It's been someone that's no one, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.